Many people recommend a whole food plant-based diet. Why do you go further and recommend a raw whole food plant-based diet? And what is a raw whole food plant-based diet?
So I go further because my style is looking for optimum. I just start there. That's my style, that's my interest. It's like, how do we optimize our diet? For one reason, for me, to support spiritual life. Okay, being stronger, being more flexible, it's all good. But my primary reason is supporting spiritual life. So that's what going further is about for me. Now, why live food? Why does it work? Good question. And what's the difference between raw and live? So I'll make that distinction. People asked it. So live is freshly picked, non-processed in any way. You're eating it within a day or two. Okay, so it has all its energy. Raw is still uncooked, but it's been processed, like tahini. Raw tahini has been processed. It's been ground. It's been, sesame ground, and so. But it's raw, but it's not as whole, and it's been on the shelf or something like that. So that's raw, but it's not live, meaning with as much energy. So live food has more energy, and it's usually fresher, and it hasn't been touched at all. It's completely whole. So those are kind of the subtle distinction that people make, and it's worth making. Because so where does that take us? It's about energy. Live food has a whole lot more energy. Now, what do I mean? Because that's just a general statement. Yes, you can feel the energy. So there was a Dr. Popp, or he's still alive in Germany, who was able to measure biophotons, which is the amount of energy that food is giving off, and at actually measuring the people. And we also have Kirlian photography. So what he found is that people who are eating junk food were putting about 1,000 biophotons on. People being a cooked, organic food, think 23,000. Newborn baby, 43,000. A live food person, 83,000. If you're doing certain herbs, up to 116,000 using tonic herbs. So you got an 83-to-1 ratio. That's very significant in terms of biophoton energy that you have in your system. Now, you can see it easily when you look at Kirlian photography. You can take a cabbage leaf, and I have pictures, and you see what it's like raw, and it's really beautiful, and energy is coming out. And you see the same leaf, cook it, it's got no energy, or it's got very little energy. So that's the difference between cooked and live. That's a simple way of talking about it. Now, we take energy from the sun. Okay, that's reasonable, through our food. When we cook it, that energy that's in the food from the sun gets depleted. And so we don't get that external energy. That's just another way of saying what I just said. When an interesting thing happened, I'm a Native American sun dancer. I did the 4 sun dances and Eagle Dancer. And even though I have really light skin, I didn't get sunburned. People, and pretty much everyone else had darker skin, different levels, and pretty much everybody got sunburned. So what happened? How does the person with the lightest skin who's out there without leaving the field not get sunburned for 4 days? What happened? Well, it took me a while to figure it out, because it's like, why is that happening? Why am I not getting sunburned? And what it is that I realized is I'm eating the live food. I'm eating sunlight. And so my body, without food or water for 4 days, is still eating the sunlight. Well, if I'm eating it, I'm not fighting it, I'm not getting burnt by it. So that was my understanding. Now, that's an interesting theory, but there's a a researcher, her name is Joanna Budwig, and she does a lot of live food research and treating cancer in Germany. She noticed the same thing. People eating live food could be on her diet and so forth, could be out in the sun 4 times longer. So that's kind of a little support for that, again, we're just taking the light in directly with the live food. Our body is more programmed to just take in and absorb the light. So that's another level. Now, when you cook your food, you lose 50% of the protein, 60-70% of the vitamins and minerals, and up to 95% of the phytonutrients, which are very, very key for health. So if you're doing live food, you can easily eat half as much and get all the nutrients you need. So there's a great advantage to being live because you can really eat less. So I can do 1 meal a day. It's going to cover it. Now let's take it a step further. Dr. Spindler did research that showed that when people ate 40% less, actually did on rats, when they ate 40% less, they had a 400% increase in their anti-aging genes, in the activation of the anti-aging genes, their anti-diabetic genes, their anti-inflammatory genes, and their anti-cancer genes. Oh, so when we are doing the live food and we can eat half as much, we're right in that framework of what Dr. Spindler is talking about, where we're activating our anti-aging and our anti-cancer, anti-diabetes, and anti-inflammation genes. Another, I think, really good, powerful reason. So there are a lot of there's more reasons, but I'm just kind of those are the big players to say, well, yeah, it works better. And of course, clinically, I showed that putting people on a live food diet for 3 weeks with a lower carbohydrate input actually allowed 61% of non-insulin dependent diabetics to be completely healed, completely normal blood sugar less than 100, no medications, 61%, 100% no medication. People who were insulin dependent, in 3 weeks, 24% were completely healed, off all medication and off all insulin. 86%, 86.6% were off all insulin, but their blood sugars went quite under 100. Give it a few more weeks and they're already there. So what's the point? Okay, the point is live food is very healing. That's the point I'm making. So I applied it in this other area, and very healing. It is healing for, there are clinics that work on cancer. There are clinics that work on a variety of things. I chose the diabetes because it's a world epidemic. But the point still remains the same. It's a powerful healing modality for all the reasons I mentioned, plus a bunch of other reasons. So that's why I favor that diet as the one that optimizes physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual life, which is what I'm interested in. One more thing in comparison, Dr. Bernard, who I think is terrific, it's really a leading vegan doctor, did a 22-week study with people who were diabetic, and he had a 40% decrease in their medications, which is pretty good. And these were people with fasting blood sugars around 160. My group their average is 247. So I had a 161-point drop, and again, a very high percentage were off all medication. And when I totaled the whole study, I'm looking at 97% of the people were off all medication. And were healed, not just decreasing the medication. We're healed, meaning 100% of the non-insulin dependent, which is what he was working with to a certain extent, oral medications, and he was doing something. So he had a 40% drop. That's with a cooked food vegan diet. So the healing differential is very significant. So I'm glad he did the study because, hey, going vegan is going to help, right? But going raw vegan is going to help a lot more. And so we have that positive contrast. So it's good and there's very good.